Hello everybody, it's Keith Barry here, and in this week's episode we have got the phenomenal Keith Earls. Keith, how are you?
Good, Keith, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So, straight into it. At your age, playing at the height of the game that you're playing at, how's the body holding up?
Yeah, it's good, surprisingly. Obviously I had my issues in the past and in the last 2 or 3 years, but thankfully this has been the best run I've had body-wise in 3 or 4 years, and you know, I'm genuinely feeling better than I was at 28, 29, thank God.
Wow, now that's interesting. Straight away, you're feeling better now than you were at 28, 29. And remind people, what age are you now?
I'm 33, 34 in October, so I'm pushing on a bit.
So 33, what do you put it down to then, that you're feeling better than you've felt in your late 20s maybe?
I suppose I figured out myself. I figured out what suited me, you know, finding my own routine. You know, stuff that was good for me, stuff that was bad for me, and to be honest, I think just in general finding a complete balance of being able to switch off from training, from rugby, and yeah, as I said, as you get older, you know, my body is my livelihood, and you know, the more you can look after it, the longer you can do it for. So yeah, I found a good balance.
So people out there probably wouldn't know a lot about me with regards to injuries. So I like to share some stories of my own and then ping pong back and forth. So with me, I'm actually covered in injuries. So people out there wouldn't know. I go to your doctor probably as well, Kieran Cosgrave, who's the RFU doctor. And so yeah. I've had my injections from him. And by the way, I avoid injections at all times unless they're essential. But I had to get an injection of a needle, I don't know, maybe that length in through my rib cage one time from him. And for me, it's the simple things every day that kind of keep me moving with regards to my injuries. Now, I've got a lot of other injuries as well, which we won't go into today. But ultimately, it's the simple things like 15 minutes every day stretching, trying to exercise as much as possible. You know, not heavy weights for me, but just keeping the body moving at all times. And that stretching is key. So if you were to give a top tip from an athlete such as yourself, for just the normal people out there who are dealing with injuries on a daily basis that you found works, what would that top tip be?
Yeah, it's like you said there, you said it yourself, you don't lift heavy weights. You know, for someone who doesn't want to put on massive size or, you know, get strong, but it's the stretching and the moving really, and getting the, I suppose, the main things, you know, your core, your glutes, you know, the main structures around the body, getting them strong. And you don't have to lift a ridiculous amount of weight to do that. And you know, if it's going out for a walk, get moving, get up. Getting moving is, you know, you hear it everywhere. Get up and get out. You know, and I think that's it really. Like, you know, it's find what makes you feel good. Look, if lifting big massive weights makes you feel good, then do it. I'd be along your lines of, you know, keeping nice and loose and keeping the heavy weights to a minimum.
Well, I do know that a lot of the ex-rugby players, at least, they've taken up such things as Pilates and yoga. What about you? Any sneaky secrets? Do you do any Pilates or yoga, Keith?
No, I don't. I'm a massive, I know you're a massive fan of cold water and jumping off piers and jumping into the sea. And it's more comfortable for me that I'm big into the hot stuff, you know, saunas, hot baths, you know, just help the muscles relax. You know, it's the first thing I do in the morning. I know you jump into a cold shower if you can, but I jump into a hot shower. You know, I would have issues with my back and stiffness, and I actually have a portable sauna now as well that I bring around with me in Carton House, and an infrared sauna that, you know, I jump into after every day's recovery. And
hang on, I have to stop you there because people will be interested in this. Tell us more. Portable sauna, like, does it steam up, or is it just hot or dry heat? What is a portable sauna?
It's dry heat. Like, the lads in camp think I'm a lunatic as well, but yeah, it's dry heat. Obviously the infrared, you know, goes deep into the bones. You know, it's like a bit of a, it looks gimmicky when you sit into it, but you know, I got it off a website, Terrassage in the United States, and has got the infrared panels in it, has got the red light treatment. This you can zip it up your neck, and you just sit in it for half an hour, 40 minutes, and you come out absolutely soaked, and a bit of a stretch after that, and
wow,
off you go. Yeah, the science behind it for recovery and blood flow, etc. is huge, and that's why I have it. You said there, I have to do everything to keep the body going.
Well, this is it. You see, you have to do everything that you examine. So, like you said, there's science behind it. And for me, you probably you wouldn't even know this. Like I do both. So I do like the hot baths when my body's really sore. So like even yesterday, I went running with one of my kids. So he's into rugby. I brought a rugby ball down to the local pitch just to keep him moving. But I'm telling you now, just from running around with him for an hour and a half, I was in bits last night. I could barely walk because of all my injuries. So, but Epsom salts into the bath. Yeah. Roasting hot, but then when I get up the next morning, freezing cold shower. So I gotta do both now, Tell me this, years ago, I remember back in the days when Brian O'Driscoll and all those guys were playing down in Wexford, I think it was, they used to go for the cryogenics. Has all that gone out now, or is that still a thing, cryogenics?
No, it's still there. Cryotherapy chambers, yeah, they're still there, but I think as science moves on, if we do, or the lads do a big weight session and they're trying to put on a bit of size, we're told stay out of the cold baths because it'll stop the muscles from pumping and,
okay,
the muscles growing then, because that's what you do. You want the blood to be pumped and get into the muscles to get bigger and repair, and, the cryotherapy and the cold baths, science said these days it stops that, so I think things come in and things come out, it's as science evolves, everything something you could be doing for years could be completely wrong in a couple of years, so I go off with how I feel, and hot baths, saunas is what I like, and it's what my body thrives.
So tell me this, when I talk to a lot of my clients, when I'm executive coaching them, I talk about goal setting. Both within rugby and outside of rugby, do you set goals for yourself, or do you kind of just allow life to take its own course?
Yeah, no, I do. It's something I didn't do, but in the last couple of years, 4 or 5 years, I have started doing it. I think it's very important to write them down, look at them. If not every day, look at them every second day. Because once you look at them and, something, if it was something like, if it's something to do with losing weight or whatever it is, putting on muscle, you're looking at it every day. So when you go up to the fridge and there's a bit of chocolate in there, you have to look at yourself at night time to say, have you done everything to hit your goals, So, it's very important, and I do it for both rugby and personal stuff. I give myself kind of targets to hit by certain dates and whatever it is I want to do.
So outside rugby for a moment, what other passions do you have besides rugby? Is there something we can get very consumed by a passion such as rugby. So for me, obviously, magic is one of my passions. And sometimes that can become all-consuming, and I'm sure it's the same with rugby. It can become all-consuming because it's your livelihood and also, I'm sure, your passion as well. But outside of rugby, have you managed to kind of focus on other passions that you like?
I'm not completely passionate in something. It's where I know I have my goals, and for outside of rugby, I say as well. But outside of rugby, I kind of just go with the flow. Unless something pops up, I'm not sure what I'm going to do after rugby retirement wise, so I might give myself a target of, go find out what it's like to say, I don't know, but it's just say if it was to run a coffee shop, or if it was to work somewhere, try and get work experience, or contact someone who might be in the industry that I think I might enjoy doing when I retire. So,
by the way, I wasn't talking about retirement. I was just talking about right now as a hobby, maybe outside of rugby pitch.
Yeah, well, for me it is a kind of thing about hopefully being out there for another 3 or 4 years. But I I've 3 little girls at home, so they keep me quite busy, and I'm genuinely happy to do whatever whoever I'm with wants to do. Like, you know, I kind of try and stay open-minded. But I wouldn't be like a Peter Mahoney now, being into my gardening or anything like that. Like, you know, so I'm easygoing. I'm a bit of a child inside, and I'll just go with the flow.
And if you were here's an interesting question, okay? If you were to invent an app to take care of something that really bothers you, so in other words, something that you just don't like doing, what kind of app would you develop?
Something I don't like doing.
It could be an app that could actually do anything for you. So like, it could be an app that makes the bed, empty the dishwasher. It could be an app that, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, so I suppose it's an app to communicate better with my wife for me, maybe.
Oh, we'd all want one of those. We all want one of those.
Yeah. An app to get inside my wife's brain to see what she really wants me to do.
Yeah, I think we all could do one of those sometimes. I mean, look, I think COVID and the pandemic and the lockdowns have been difficult for a lot of people. And I know you've been getting out a little bit for your rugby, but I'm sure it's been difficult for you as well. And I think it puts a strain on relationships just with homeschooling and the kids and the environment. So with that being said, like, have you ways that you kind of alleviate your stress in your head? Have you, like, do you practice mindfulness? Do you practice meditation? Or do you just go for a walk, like you said? Like, what way does Keith Earls kind of clear his head?
Yeah, it's yeah, I do. I meditate most mornings, and it doesn't have to be long. Half an hour sessions, like, you know, even 10 minutes in the morning. And I like to do a bit of journaling when I wake up in the morning as well. But you know, I think as you said there, like, I know the pandemic, but I think it's important to communicate, and, you know, communicate with your wife or your spouse, whoever's at home, to see, you know, like as you said there, I'm getting out, I'm getting to go training with all the lads, and I'm having the crack, and I get to compete on the weekend, whereas my wife has been at home for a year solid now, and I suppose me getting home and giving her a break, giving her a chance to get out and do her exercise, give her a chance to switch off, and, you know, it's been great. You know, the last couple of months, as in, not great because of the pandemic, but great just to be able to spend time with my family, and, you know, my wife and kids keep me grounded, and they keep me busy, and, you know, as I said there, I like being a child myself, so I get out, and we've obviously gone for plenty of walks. We have, myself and my daughters have electric scooters, and we would flying up and down the driveway on the electric scooter. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a tough world we're in at the moment, and you have to find some positives, and you got to do, no matter what it is, I think you've got to do whatever it is that makes you happy right now in this pandemic, and then whatever that is, you know, it's up to the individual.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I think it's more about focusing and magnifying the positive and shrinking down the negative at this moment in time. I feel like when I'm looking at, you know, just various discussions online, there's a lot of political divide, there's a lot of divide on COVID, but I think when it comes back to your own family unit, it's really important to do that. Exactly what you said. Just play with the kids, hang with the kids if you have them. Don't go too hard on yourself. Don't go too hard on them. Albeit keep them in line. I mean, I still have my moments, but like just a few days ago, I was having a water fight at like 8:30 in the morning with me and my son. We were screaming in the back garden. We probably woke half the neighbourhood up, and I didn't really mind that. I didn't really mind even waking the neighbours up, because look, all we were doing was just having fun. And I think people have to remind themselves to have fun. So a quick note just on something that you said, like you said that you journal. So for me, I journal a lot as well, and I always make sure to buy a really valuable notepad. Now, when I say valuable, I mean just 20 or 30 euros, rather than just a scratch pad, because if you value your ideas, they should be put in a valuable place. I say this to people all of the time. Yeah. But even with my journals, I actually write down fun time for me and the kids. So I plan that fun time, and then I make that what I call an immovable. In other words, it can't be moved. We've got to have that fun time and slot in that fun time. So I think it's so key what you said, just to actually allow us as adults to be kids as well. Now, with that being said, I want to try something real quick, okay? So I've got a target here, okay? I'll hold it up. It's a wallet.
Yeah.
And inside this wallet, there is a target. Now, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to tell you that if I asked everybody listening, all of our watchers and all of our listeners out there, everybody to think of a number between 1 and 100, most people will say 7, right? It's the same with if I asked everybody to think of a verb, any verb, right? Most people will think of the verb run. Not everybody, but most people will think of run, right? Did you think of run, by the way?
No, it's dancing.
Dancing, okay. Well, that tells us a lot about you then. So here's the idea. But I want to go back with numbers. I've written down a number inside here, okay? There's a number written down inside here. And I'm going to give you a clue. It's between 1 and 500, okay? That's the only clue that you have. A number between 1 and 500. What number did you think I wrote down inside the pad?
I have 21 in my head.
Now, why did you go with 21? Is there a particular reason why you went with 21?
I suppose it's a random enough number, isn't it?
It's random, all right. But look, inside here, there is another wallet. And inside this wallet, if I just open it up, inside here, there is a card. And I wrote something down about an hour ago, and I put it in here. And it says, Keith will say 21.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Fair play to you. That's... oh, yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
So you could say that that was a coincidence, right? As a just in general, have you ever had like a crazy random coincidence happen to you? You know, like when you think about somebody perhaps you haven't thought about in years, and the phone goes off and it's them on the other end of the phone. Is there anything weird or wacky or wonderful that you just can't explain in your head that's happened to you?
Oh shit! You put me on the spot now. No, I don't, but it's probably gone back to the goal setting and stuff we spoke about. And I know this is supposed to be light-hearted, but, you know, when I first started doing a few bits with you, I started, you know, you taught me how to visualise, and I visualised a lot of stuff that year when I spoke to you, and a lot of them, a good chunk of it came through.
Yeah.
Like my goals when I was playing was you know, it was rugby related, so it was to win a trophy, win a championship. We won a Grand Slam that year. I'd visualise walking around the pitch with my kids with the trophy, because I'm always promising them trophies. And to be honest, it's been a long time since I lifted one, and you know, I did see pictures of us in Twickenham walking around the field, me lifting a trophy. And you know, I wrote down about being Player of the Year that year for Munster and Ireland, and it happened. So that was quite freaky, you know. When you know, a law of attraction and all that crack has been thrown around, you know, in recent times. But I suppose that year I thought was quite freaky, because a lot of things that I set myself aside. I spent a half an hour every day visualising a lot of these things, and a lot of them came true, which was quite freaky, you know. Well,
this is interesting because, you know, I do interviews all the time on my work and my work with clients. And when I mention creative visualization to people, just the normal person off the street, you meet one of two kind of characters. One person will be very open to it. The other person will just kind of scoff at it and brush it away. But I think it's so interesting, you know, that if people just wrap their heads around the fact that it's not the law of attraction, creative visualization. What you're doing is changing the neurology of your brain in order to activate upon whatever talent you have, whatever gift that you have, and take action every day towards that talent and that gift. And then that will become embedded, deep-rootly embedded in a subconscious way neurologically, that you'll be more inclined then to achieve that goal or that dream. So, yeah, look, if people want to look into creative visualization, look into the science of it. Michael Phelps, for example, the top Olympic athlete of all time, 28 gold medals in the Olympics. He visualized every single day for 3 years, all the way up to the Olympics. And then he visualized every single day while he was at the Olympics. And then, you know, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Here's an interesting question that I haven't heard too many people ask rugby players. So in soccer, you hear a lot of soccer players talk about their superstitions, you know, especially, I suppose, the goalkeeper putting something in the goal or something perhaps that they do in the dressing room. Is there a lot of superstition in rugby? And if so, are you superstitious?
Yeah, there's a lot of superstition in rugby. And yeah, I struggled big time with superstition.
Oh wow!
It's only got it out of my life, well, in the last couple of years, like, but like some weird superstitions, and it was even off the field. Like, I couldn't turn my TV off without turning it on to number 3. Like, I don't know where I got it from. I'd be up in bed at home and I'd be like, what, did I turn the channel off? Did I turn it on to number 3 before? And I'd go down the stairs and make sure it was on number 3. And, you know, I used to have these rosary beads my grandmother gave me, and I couldn't travel in a car without them. If it was going on a long journey, or I couldn't travel on an aeroplane, to bang my elbow, I'd have to bang it 3 times after. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, some crazy superstitions, or like, you know, and I know I've a couple of lads who had them as well. I think Donald Callahan used to wear brand new socks before every game, white socks. But
he's got the white teeth now. I can tell you, he's everywhere. Everywhere you look, Donald Callahan is there. But he's doing great. He's doing great work.
Yeah, he's flying it. He's flying it. His teeth are either white or he's fake tan.
yeah.
Has gone through the roof.
Do you think these superstitions were learned, or are the things that you just kind of developed over time?
Yeah, other things I developed. I know my father would have been quite superstitious. You know, it was kind of like the old sayings. I think, you know, when you bang your elbow, I think that's quite known. You know, if you bang your elbow, you bang the other one 3 times and stuff like that. But yeah, they're definitely learning. You know, I think in sports are probably a sign of, I suppose, lack of confidence as well. If you think you need something to, you know, you think if you need to wear new socks, or you think you need to wear your special pair of shorts or whatever, like, you know, underneath, because, you know, things happen. What happens if you forget your socks or your shorts and you have to go and perform? You know, some fellas think, oh, I'm going to have a bad game because I don't have my lucky shorts, which is ridiculous, like, you know. And I think it was, again, when Conor McGregor first came in, he kind of said it, you know, superstitions is mental weakness, because if you prepare well and you're ready to go, then, you know, a pair of shorts isn't going to win you a fight, or a pair of socks isn't going to win you a match. So it's your preparation that's more important, you know, and that's something that I've got quite good at, and that's something that leaves me, you know, with confidence and ease going into a game or leading up into a game.
Well, that's really interesting, the way that you put it / Conor put it, that it's kind of a mental weakness, and perhaps you're not prepared if you're superstitious. So I kind of I haven't thought about it like that myself before, but it's a very interesting take on it. Besides rugby, is there other sports that you watch? Do you watch other sports? Are you just completely separated when you're off the pitch?
Yeah, no, like, obviously, you know, the usual bit of soccer. I can't take too much of soccer. Watch bits and pieces.
Well, hang on. Let's stop there. I have to stop you there. There's a reason I have to stop you. Look, I look at soccer, and those fellas jumping around the pitch when they fall down, I mean, that must grate on you as a rugby player, because you're getting hit hard multiple times every time, even in training. And then you see these guys doing 14 tumbles after getting a little kick. I mean, for me, I'd laugh at it. It reminds me a bit of, do you remember years ago, WWF with Hulk Hogan in the ring? I look at soccer a little bit like that, so I can't watch it at all. And I used to years ago, but now I can't watch it. Like, do you look at that a little bit and go, come on, or what way do you look at it?
Yeah, I do. It's tough to watch when a fella, especially when they slow down a replay and, you know, he hasn't really been fouled and he's jumping around the floors, and, you know, in my eyes, it's kind of cheating, obviously, like, you know, in my eyes, especially in around the penalty box. Yeah, it's tough to watch, but that's the culture in their sport, and, you know, it's something that is usually frowned upon in rugby. If anything, it's, if you get hit hard and it's to get back up to show that you're not hurt is bigger in rugby than showing that you are hurt, like, you know.
Now, before we wrap it up, tell me a couple of things. Do you read at all?
Yeah, I do. I read. I don't like. I'm big into like reading about nutrition. I like reading about, gut health and the connection between the gut and the brain. I'm big into that. I'm a big believer. Even myself, the way I feel when I eat healthy and the way I feel when I'm not eating so healthy, and I'm big into that.
So hang on that, because that's kind of I wouldn't call it a new science, but it's only become popularised in the last couple of years because the science has gotten stronger and stronger. And for anybody who doesn't know what Keith's talking about, it's basically the direct connection between your gut microbes and your mental health, and the way your brain and your gut are actually interconnected. And basically what you eat is what you become, not just physically, but also mentally. So for our listeners and people watching, is there anything that you've learned in the past, 6 months, 12 months, that has really kind of shifted or altered your perception of how you eat and how you look after your gut?
Yeah, I've been eating gluten-free the last number of years. Because obviously in my sport, you have to eat loads, obviously, for energy and stuff, and we're training so hard, but it's the right food then as well. There was a lot of foods, rugby is a high pressure game, and you can get nervous, and there's a lot of foods that can trigger the nerves in some people, and I felt when I ate a lot of pasta, a lot of grains, etc., bread, it just made me feel like crap. So I cut all that out, and I know not all gluten-free foods are good for you, but I suppose I got into it is from a performance reason, and a reason to help me perform to a maximum level. And by eating gluten-free and eating healthy, it made me feel great at the weekend. It made me feel different to myself. Loading up on pasta made me feel bloated, lethargic. And it was mad. People think I'm mad, but a lot of them foods, give me a bit of anxiety. A lot of them, the difference in my anxiety when I'm playing and when I'm eating poorly, and difference in my anxiety when I'm eating good, and feeding my stomach with probiotics, and just generally cutting out a lot of bad stuff. And don't get me wrong, I indulge in a lot of food as well. I have to eat pizzas with the kids, and that genuinely, it's worth it, but it doesn't make me feel great, but it's worth it to have a bit of a laugh with the kids, or a bit of time with the kids. So I've been big into that the last couple of years.
All right, so what's been your number one meal that you've found that's not necessarily a cheat meal, just something that you've found that you eat, you enjoy, and that maybe gets you primed and ready for exercise? Something good for you, something like a carb, but obviously not pasta. What's your kind of pasta replacement, I suppose, is what I'm getting to?
Yeah, we've good options with our nutritionist. So it's like sweet potato or rice, and that's easy enough to eat as well. I know not too many people are keen on sweet potato, but if I mash it up with a bit of butter or put a couple of spices on it, it's lovely. So
white rice or brown rice, does it matter?
Doesn't matter. No, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And obviously portion size as well. And I know you used to have years ago rugby where you carb load on the day and get as much food into the night before, but I just like to keep it ticking over nicely throughout the whole week, so I don't carb load or anything. As I got older and wiser, I know how much I have to eat, and sometimes I don't have to eat too much, and I feel great, and I do a lot of intermittent fasting as well, so that's come in the last couple of years as well, give my digestive system a rest, and just trying to find general health, really. Just
with intermittent fasting, real quick, do you do 16-8? Do you do 14-10? What kind of intermittent fasting do you do?
Yeah, 16-8, yeah. 16-8.
So for anybody listening who doesn't know what that is, basically it's 16 hours fasting where you're generally just allowed to drink either water or black coffee or black tea, or and that's pretty much it. And then 8 hours of eating. And this is the part that people miss sometimes, Keith. In that 8 hours, you got to eat healthily. A lot of people, they fast for the 16 hours and then they still reach for the Mars bar during that 8 hours.
Yeah.
You know, that's the. Do you fast? Do you do that every day now at the moment, or do you take do 6 days, or what do you do?
No, I did. I used to do. I done it every day. A couple of years ago. I do it. I definitely do it at least twice, 3 times a week now.
Okay, great.
Sometimes I'm training fasted, and it's amazing now. I'm no doctor, and I'm not trying to tell people to do it, but sometimes I feel way better when I don't eat and I train, like, you know, and I suppose that works for me. It might not work for you, like, you know.
Yeah, well, you're not alone, and as I said, this isn't meant to be advice for people out there. People need to do their own advice and, you know, take their own medical practitioner's advice. But again, you're not the only athlete to be saying this. There's a lot of athletes now that train upon fasting. So after 16 hours fasting, they train first and then they eat after their training. So you're certainly not alone in that regard. I've heard a lot of UFC fighters actually saying that, and even for me, I was confused for a long time because I would hear about, you know, just people in general, bodybuilders, fit people, rugby people, you know, carb up before you go training. And for me, I train quite regularly and I would do that. But I find that I'd actually feel sick while I'm training. I couldn't do it. So now, you know, if I'm doing, unfortunately for me now, I'm stuck at home. So I'm doing like the Joe Wicks workout still with my son Braden, who's 9, you know, and eventually I'll get back to training a bit more. But ultimately, I do that having fasted for 16 hours, just like yourself. So it's good to hear that, you know, athletes are embracing the intermittent fasting as well. So with that being said, I'm grabbing my phone here because I've got a list on my phone that I'm going to take up, and I want to show you the list. Here it is here. So we're going to go into, I'm going to bring this right up close to the screen so you can be able to see this in a second. Let's see. Now, can you see my notes there?
Yeah.
Okay, so the top one there, are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Where it says past birthday prezzies. We're going to go in there in just a second, okay? We're going to pop in there because back here, okay, over here, inside there, I've got a past birthday present. Now, there's 100 of them there, Keith, okay? And in a moment, you're going to name out loud a number between 1 and 100. And then we'll go to whatever present is there. Now, I've only got one set of notes. There's only one list. It's right at the top. My past birthday prezzies, okay? Whatever number you go to, we're just going to go with that. So what number are you going to between 1 and 100? Go ahead.
37.
37. So we're going to go to my notes once again, and we're going to go to 37, and you're going to read out loud what it says. There's my notes. I'll bring it right up close once again. Okay. Should be able to see this. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's scroll down to what 37 is. I'm going to bring them up nice and close in just a second. But you can see that they're all different. Can you see what's against number 37? We'll just take the camera a second to focus.
Yeah.
What is it?
Baseball bat. Baseball bat.
Now, you could have had any one of them. You can see it says paper. Somebody gave me a newspaper one time, believe it or not, for my birthday. A camera, a lampshade. They're all different. You could have had any one at all, okay? Over here, there's a present inside here. And you could have named anything at all. And any number, and you could have had any present. But inside here, this is where I keep my baseball bat every time. It's always in there.
You're a genius. That's brilliant. Fair play.
Oh, I nearly knocked the whole place down. The bang off the baseball bat there.
Jeez, that's brilliant. Brilliant. Well done.
Oh, thanks. So, Keith, where can people follow you? Are you on social media before we finish up? Where can people follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, no, but not too much content. I struggle sometimes with social media, like, you know, it's but I know the positives of it, and I know the negativities of it as well. So look, I'm still trying to get the hang of it after all these years, but you won't get too much from me.
Well, listen, down the line, maybe in a couple of years, I'm sure you'll be putting your thoughts together, your philosophies together. So, Keith Earls on Instagram, is that where, is there an underscore, is there a dash, or is it just Keith Earls on Instagram?
I think it's Keith Earls 87.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I think it's Keith Earls. Don't worry, people will find you there. I just want to make sure they find the official account though. So find the Keith Earls with the number 87 in it, and that will be the official Keith Earls account. Keith Earls, I'm looking forward to all of the rugby you've got for us in the future. I know that you still have 5 years left. That's what I'm saying. Minimum 5 years left. All right. So, well, listen, you're at your premium level. You said it yourself. You're feeling great. You're looking great. You're playing great. So, look, we're looking forward to what the future has in store for you and Ireland as well with the rugby. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks.